Hey everybody, it's your friend and your guy and your favorite Chicken Little, Gardiner. Have you heard about this? The PlayStation Network is shutting down for the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and PS Vita. Well, software preservationists have started to raise a few questions about the shutdown of the PlayStation Network. What happens when the CMOS battery dies in your PS3 or PS4? Now, you might be asking, what is a CMOS battery? Well, you have a clock in your PS3 and your PS4 that keeps track of time as it ticks forward. You know, that's what a clock does. And there's a little coin cell battery in your PlayStation that keeps track of the time for you. So like when you unplug the device from the wall, you lose AC power, the clock keeps ticking, right? But what happens if you unplug from the wall and the battery is dead or is just not installed? Well, at that point, the clock stops ticking. And not only does it stop ticking, but it'll also reset the time back to the default, which is usually around the time that the console was manufactured. And it will also set a flag that tells the PlayStation, hey, you need to make sure that next time you turn on, you confirm what time it is with the PlayStation server. Well, when that happens, you know, the PlayStation will turn on next time and it will connect with the server, validate what time it is, set the internal clock correctly, and everything's fine, right? Now, that seems perfectly reasonable. After all, we don't want people to be able to claim that they earned a trophy before the game was actually released, do we? That's all fine and dandy, right? What could possibly go wrong with a system like that? Well, when the server's not there to answer the PlayStation's request for the time, a lot could go wrong. Many, if not all, of your PlayStation games could be completely unplayable when Sony's time servers go down for the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4. How? Well, first of all, batteries don't last forever. Your PlayStation is eventually going to run out of juice to keep track of the time. And if Sony's servers aren't there to validate the time and the day to the console when it requests it, when it needs it, well, then after you change a CMOS battery that has died in a PS3 or PS4, there's no way for your console to validate the correct date and time. You might be saying, well, who cares about that? Like, why would I care about that? But your PlayStation does. It was told to. On the PS3, before you're allowed to play any downloaded title, that's any game from the PlayStation Network, the console has to check with Sony to make sure that the time is correct. If it's not correct, then you're just simply not allowed to play the game. On the PlayStation 4, though, it's a little bit more nefarious. Before you're allowed to play any game, whether it's a retail game on a disc or a downloaded title from PSN, you have to make sure that your console's time is correct. And it's not enough for you to set the time correctly yourself, that the PlayStation has to reach out to the PlayStation Network and get the current time. Now, these checks have to be performed after a CMOS battery has been replaced. Otherwise, the games won't be able to launch. But again, remember that Sony is taking these two consoles' PlayStation Network offline. And what that means is that many, if not all of the games in your library are just not going to be playable when your CMOS battery dies. And what's worse is that Sony could issue a firmware update for the PS3 or the PS4, and it could change this rule so that once your CMOS battery is replaced, it doesn't have to get a network time update from the PlayStation Network. And that would rectify the situation, but neither Sony nor game publishers really seem to be that interested in games preservation. The history of gaming is not important to these companies because they're not making money off it directly. They'll make more money by reselling you games you already own in a digital format later on. So that leaves it up to the community to preserve these games through reverse engineering of the hardware and the software, or hacking your way into the machine. And truthfully, there are ways that we, as a community, can address this. Both the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4 have custom firmware that can be installed. That's certainly what many people will do. And by the time the CMOS battery dies in the PS4, there's probably going to be even easier solutions than what we have right now, at least hopefully. But sadly, applying these fixes to the defective by design nature of these machines is going to be a luxury for people who are technically capable, like technically literate enough to actually enjoy the fruits of their labors. But that means that consoles of this era will become little more than e-waste after the CMOS battery dies in these machines. And as someone who considers himself a environmentalist, I can think of few things more offensive to my sensibilities in that regard than DRM measures like this that make entire machines and their entire library completely useless without the technical capabilities to flash a custom firmware on there, just because a simple coin cell battery died. Generations of gamers have enjoyed consoles of yore, being able to play games on the Atari 2600 and the NES and the SNES, all the way up through the console generations, kept alive by the passion of gamers who, you know, care about the games that they played when they were kids. The idea that kids of today won't be able to play the games they played in their youth because a battery died and a server isn't available to answer a simple network time request. And that's tragic to me. But I'd love to know what you think about this. Let me know down in the comments. What do you think about Sony's closure of the PlayStation Network for the PS3 and PS4? Let me know what you think about the digitalization of these games, the digital-only nature of the PlayStation 5 even. That's going to be an even bigger problem going forward. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. But I think that's going to do it for now. I want to say thank you to my patrons on Patreon, as well as my YouTube members here on YouTube, without whom I would not be able to do this. You can see the names of some of the top tier members over here. I want to say thank you to these guys. They make what I do here possible. If it wasn't for them, I just would not be able to do this. If you believe in the work that I do, if you want to support this show, the best way to do that is by supporting the show on YouTube memberships or on Patreon. But that's going to do it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now, and have a blessed day.